Hello, people. I'm back with an update. This time on the solar illusion. Last time I talked about how the moon is not what we think it is. That's why I'm calling this series an illusion. Not that they are not there, they are there, but it's not what we think they are. That's why I'm calling it an illusion. The sun is as curious an object, celestial object, as the moon. If you look at the modern information about the sun, they are hiding more information than what they are telling you, and there are a lot of disinformation also. It's definitely not 93 million miles away. It's much more closer to us. The simple proof I can give you is the seasonal variations that are happening, and the drastic change in weather, even between places which are just 500 miles away. Cannot happen if the sun is 93 million miles away. We must be having pretty much similar weather all over the earth, if that is the case. And the sun is not moving at a similar same speed. It's moving at different speeds during different seasons. For example, the day I'm recording today, the sun has moved north with respect to the what we call the equator. Uh, so so the northern hemisphere gets more heat, light, etc. I mean that meets up with the conventional model, but the only problem is it's much closer than we think it is. The Vedic knowledge says that the sun is not just a provider of light. It emits at least 100,000 different types of rays, which invariably affect the functioning of our body, mind, and our subtle body. I covered briefly about that in the video I did on moon illusion. You can take a look at that for more information. The Vedic knowledge says that the sun is driven by seven chariots through the sky. I mean, sorry, a chariot with seven horses through the sky. You cannot take that literally. Yes, seven has a lot of connotations in the creational process. There are seven major chakras. So the seven means that there are seven forces involved, elemental forces involved in moving the sun through the uh, what is known as the outer space in the modern science. It's called antariksh in Sanskrit. It's the space between different worlds. The yogic knowledge says that the sun is closer to us than the moon. The moon is at a higher position, and the stars, what we see as stars, are above the moon. Uh, so the Vedic tradition says that there are 12 phases to the sun, which corresponds to the 12 major constellations through which the sun moves uh, in a year. It's a well known fact in astrology. That's how our sun signs are based on. Each month, the sun moves through a particular constellation. It's not just a mundane thing, there is a specific meaning behind that. Each of those constellations we talk about, or what we see as bunch of stars, they are markers basically on the sky. They are all different astral worlds. So if you are born in a particular sign, you most likely you have come from one of the astral worlds in that constellation. There are innumerable astral worlds. The astral world is much bigger than the physical world. I mean, for the detailed explanation of the different types of layers or number of worlds in the Vedic version of the universe, you can look at my previous video, The Secrets of the Third Eye Part 2, where I talk about the Vedic cosmology and given links to that. You can go through that. There is a lot of information that I don't want to repeat that here. So basically, the what we see up in the sky is basically we are looking at portals or gateways to different astral worlds. They are not what we are told. They are not. I mean, science, the modern science tells us that the stars we look at are distant suns. They are also like the sun we are seeing. No, absolutely not. The sun is in between those, between us and those worlds. Yes, this modern science also says that the stars are much farther compared to the sun, but the scales are totally different. It's not billions of light years away. They are much closer to us than that, definitely. Similarly, the sun is not 93 million miles away. Probably the sun is within a few tens of thousands of miles. The moon is above the sun. Both the moon and the sun are also portals to the astral worlds. Definitely, beings exist there. You can call them angels. You can call them demigods. You can call them astral beings. It all depends on the your belief system. But they are as much real as we are. They definitely exist. All these astral worlds are completely filled with uh, beings like us. They experience reality different way. The astral worlds are much finer worlds compared to us. They are borderline material, but in the modern terminology, you can call them 4D worlds, four dimensional worlds. We can see only the access points to those worlds which naturally look as stars. That's why they are called stargates. I mean, there is a movie, and I guess there is a TV series also on that called the Stargate. It's no coincidence that they are called stargates, because those access points to those astral worlds, they look like five-pointed star-like light. That's why they are called stargates. So we can only see the entry point to the 4D world. Obviously, we cannot see beyond that from this place, from the 3D world we are living in. There is a guy called Daniel. His nickname is I mean, that is not his original name. He's an American researcher who has apparently worked in secret projects. I talked about him in my very first video called Secrets of the Third Way Part 1. You can take a listen there for more details on that. The point I bring up his name here is he has written a paper on how there is a world closer to us. Our world is considered as a space-time continuum in scientific terminology. He proposes that there is a world closer to us, which is the conjugate of this world, which can be called as a time-space continuum. Instead of space-time, it's time-space continuum. So what is space for us is time for them, and what is time For the space for them is time for us. So I mean, I don't want to fully explain that. You can go through his papers. I will provide a link in the description of this video. The point I brought this up in this context is the reason why we see the stars moving. Obviously, we see the stars moving. The reason for that is the movement in space. What, because we see it as movement in space. We see the stars moving through what we call space, what we think is space. So that is basically they are not moving through space. They are moving through time. For those astral worlds, I'm telling, from the perspective of those astral worlds, you can consider those astral worlds as a time space world, which is a conjugate of our space time world. So what we see as movement through space, the stars are moving through space in from our perspective, but from their perspective, they are moving through time. So it's a little bit complex to understand. That's how it works. But how they will perceive the 5D worlds, we have no idea. We have to go there to have an idea about that. I mean, the reason I'm talking about this in this context is the sun is also moving in a similar fashion. It's somewhere in between. Actually, you can call it in between. That's why it's called in between space or antariksh. Antariksh is a perfect Sanskrit word which describes the space between this physical and the astral worlds. I mean, the sun is neither physical nor astral. It's somewhere in between both the sun and the moon. The stars are definitely astral. There's no doubt about that. The sun and the moon are like these in between guys who have interaction between both the physical and the astral worlds. That's what they're meant to do. They are floating in that antariksh, or the in between space. Outer space is a wrong word. The in between space, the space between this astral and the physical worlds, that's where sun and moon are moving. So these there are different forces involved in the movement of the sun and the moon. I will cover I'll cover it in a separate video I'll do on the elementals. There are different types of elementals. There are 96 elementals that have been identified in the yogic or tantric literature. They will to give you an example of the elemental, the five elements we frequently talk about: earth, water, fire, ether. All these are considered as elementals. There are 96 elementals like this. If, for example, earth itself is a very big elemental. All the metals we know and that we do not know, etc., all comes under the category of the elementals. So the Vedic knowledge tells that each of these elementals have custodians, which we call demigods. Definitely they exist. They are not figments of imagination. Just like we have custodians of different functions in this world, they are also custodians of different elementals. At a bigger level also, so there are 96 main demigods which are assigned to each of the elementals, but there are innumerable subdivisions within the elementals. So there are the Vedic knowledge says that there are 330 million demigods. So you'd be wondering why there are so many demigods. That is the reason. I mean, there are so many subdivisions possible in each of the elementals, and the forces involved, also the interactions between them, the absence of some of the elementals, and the combinations of these elementals. All these create different forces. That's where the sun is said to be drawn by a chariot of 7 horses. The 7 horses represent 7 different forces which move the sun in the antariksh, or the space between the astral and the physical worlds. So that's what the Vedic knowledge tells. So in my next video, I will cover more on these elementals. So hopefully this information is useful. I mean, catch you soon, guys. Thanks for listening.